Hiya, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for another edition of Let's Argue, where I hop onto social media, I take your hot takes, unpopular opinions, and tough questions, I answer them in this segment right here, and that's about it. That's all you need to know. Let's go! The Travis Scott Astroworld hype is mainly due to memes and his relationship with Kylie. Scott is average at best with no profound lyrics, bars, and overusage of autotune. Well, I've not gotten my review out at the time that I am shooting this, so I don't know. The thing with Travis is that he's just inconsistent. There was a time when I think he was very cutting edge and experimenting pretty hard, especially on Rodeo, and I think, yeah, sure, while he's not the best singer and he's not the best lyricist, I think he is a good curator. I think he has great ideas and he has a knack for gathering other people to help him kind of execute them effectively. Now, I think he hit a moment post-Rodeo where he understood that his sound was popular and decided to stick to it and not really advance it or progressive in any significant way and just kind of deliver fans an aesthetic, i.e. Birds in the Trap. But you know what? I hope that Astroworld sees him actually getting ambitious again, trying something different, and pushing the trap genre forward, because I think Travis has the potential to do that. Now, memes, Kylie, basically his celebrity status, he wouldn't be the only rapper to use that to his advantage for album sales, for attention. So, I mean, sure, while I think you have a point with this, overall, I don't really know if it's all that significant in the grander scheme of things. Charles Manson. Wait, this guy spelled this dude's. You spelled his name Charles Manson. Charles Manson is responsible for terrible atrocities that should not be overlooked or forgiven. However, his music is extremely good and underrated for what it is. His talent and abilities as an artist deserves to be acknowledged and discussed more often than it currently is. I mean, he had some pretty cool songs. What did he have? That Sick City song? He had that Sick City song that was pretty cool. But I don't know. A lot of the material on that one Charles Manson album I've heard wasn't that good. I feel like he was a mediocre songwriter at best. You know, a few decent tracks here and there, but yeah, I don't see the Charles Manson hype. I don't think he was that good. Where would Ye and Kids See Ghosts end up on your worst to best list? Kids See Ghosts would probably end up somewhere around College Dropout and, late registration. Meanwhile, Ye, I think I would put maybe a smidge above Graduation and maybe below The Life of Pablo. More people would enjoy your channel if you took a break from reviewing such minimally popular albums from obscure genres and reviewed older, more popular albums. For example, I'd be more likely to click on a review of a My Chemical Romance album than whatever bumblefuck new indie is up. Yeah, maybe I should review less bumblefuck indie if it doesn't really interest me all that much. Personally, I hate doing classic reviews. I can only really force myself to do them once a year because I just kind of don't like saying things about albums that everybody has already decided are great and classic. I just don't really feel like that contributes all that much to the grander musical conversation. However, I most likely should spend my time making more things like worst to best videos where I actually can go over an older album, an older artist's discography, and kind of celebrate the high and low points of that. So do anticipate more material in the future where I take more of a retrospective approach. Classics Week will still happen every year, even though, again, I just kind of hate doing it. Father John Misty is just an interesting Jack Johnson. Okay, yeah, well, you know, what's it to you? What's it to you then? Music YouTubers are more talented than most of popular musician nowadays, such as the Chainsmoker. In some instances, YouTuber musicians are actually more popular than popular musicians too. I mean, Rice Gum and Jake Paul, with their respective rap songs on the platform, have done huge numbers. But because the music industry is still very much a product of the traditional media landscape, YouTube musicians be understood or respected in the same way that musicians are in the music industry musicians. And maybe that'll change one day. Maybe the landscape will continue to shift where YouTube musicians have a bit more of a slice of the overall pie and everything, because they are getting the views, they are getting the numbers, they are getting the streams, depending on who you're talking about. You're also talking about YouTubers like Rob Scallon, for example, who have such incredibly raw talent, amazing ideas, super creative. Andrew Huang as well, I love him. And there are a lot of other great YouTube musicians too. Yeah, shout out to YouTube musicians. There are a lot of corny ones out there, but there are a lot of amazing ones too. You can't have a long-term relationship with someone who doesn't like, or at least appreciates, the same types of music as you do. I agree, but really only on the grounds that we're talking about appreciating here, because here's the thing. If your significant other doesn't appreciate or understand the things about you that they may not necessarily identify with or enjoy themselves, then that person may in fact just be kind of disrespecting you for being a different person, being an individual, whatever. And that goes both ways. So respect for each other's interests and passions and personal points of view, that is key in a relationship. That is key, regardless of whether that centers around music or not. The shift away from downloads and back towards vinyl will lead to a shift in mainstream album structure to more of a thematic piece instead of a collection of songs. I mean, while vinyl has gained double-digit numbers in terms of its sales and its share of the overall popular music profit margin, I don't necessarily see this shift away that you're talking about, because in the same way that people might used to just download a few songs that they really liked when music downloads were reigning supreme, people just kind of enact that same singularity on a particular couple of songs that they enjoy over the medium of streaming. So the delivery method is still being done through your computer. It's not really that different. Just the way by which you pay for it and whether or not you own it has changed. So while I am glad that vinyl is still around, it seems like it's here to stay, it seems like it's not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't necessarily see the growth and popularity of the medium as something that's going to create like some conceptual sea change as to how mainstream albums are written, recorded, and produced. Soulja Boy was super influential in terms of online viral marketing, and he and Lil Wayne are possibly two of the most influential hip-hop artists of the previous decade. Yo! I mean, this is kind of true. When it comes to the bling era, like, everybody was cranking that Soulja Boy! And it is true in terms of the way that Soulja delivered himself, marketed himself, got himself out there, also dressed and acted the way he kind of portrayed himself as a public figure and an icon in the hip-hop community, certainly set himself apart and really kind of created a platform, created a trend through which you can have artists like Lil B, for example. I guess you could say Soulja Boy really helped set the tone for internet rap, really helped set the tone for a lot of the weird and wild gimmicks that a lot of newer rappers use today to try to get attention. Whether that's overall good or bad for the craft or the genre, I feel like is another debate for another time, but you can't really deny that it was influential. I think the reason that you have developed haters throughout the years is because you have kept true to yourself and what you find enjoyable while also giving an honest opinion and review. It's kind of a rare trait nowadays. I mean, I know I do have some haters out there. I personally don't feel it's as bad as maybe it is for some other people who are online, maybe some other artists in the music community. And honestly, that might be because, at least in my opinion, because at the end of the day, I'm talking about the music. It's about the music. It's not personal. I'm not trying to attack an artist on a personal level necessarily. Sometimes it might seem like that way because artists put their personal lives or their personal beliefs or views or feelings in their music. But at the end of the day, if I don't like your music, I don't like your music. And it's nothing against you. And I'm not out here trying to give negative reviews or hate on anybody for any other reason than to give an honest review. If I honestly feel like your record is awful, if I honestly feel like your record is great, then that is what I say. Of course, there are some people who don't want to hear that. They just want to be told what they want to hear. They want to have their feelings confirmed and when they think something is great, they want somebody to tell them that they think it's great too. And that's fine. I understand and I accept that if I am going to just be raw and straightforward about what it is I think about every major record that comes out, that sometimes we are not going to see eye to eye. And as a result of that, I'm going to turn some people off. But to me, it's more valuable to have people watching and following who go into what I'm doing, understanding that and accepting that too. So that's great. That's amazing. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I want. As far as like real haters, I personally don't feel like there are that many people out there who really do truly hate me. Sure, there are some people out there who hate me for some kind of made up stupid reason in their head, or maybe they hate me because I'm a threat to their business model and I'm doing what I do better than they do what they do. I actually think I have more people who hate me in the industry than I do have people who hate me who are just regular ass music fans. Because I go to places where there are music fans. I go to shows, I go to festivals, I go to places and I meet and I see people all the time who like my videos, hate my videos, and I've never personally felt like, oh my God, the haters, oh, I'm afraid for my life. Because as much as somebody might dislike me at the end of the day, I think a great deal of people understand that, like, again, when I give Drake a negative review, it's not really anything against Drake. I think a great deal of people most likely understand that I am trying to be as honest of an actor as I can be when I do my reviews, when I make my content, when I hop on camera and say what I gotta say. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, it may piss you off because you feel the exact opposite to me and maybe I've made a point that sticks in your fucking head and drives you nuts. But hey, I can tell you, and I'm sure you understand, that there's nothing malicious behind what I do. And I think I am just going to leave it at that. This has been another edition of Let's Argue. Thank you for watching. And you're the best. Over here next to my head is another episode, or rather the playlist for the Let's Argue series. Also the link to subscribe to the channel, the button. And I'll see you in the next one. Anthony Fantano, arguing forever.